Hello, good evening. Welcome to the podcast Coffee with Friends. It's a pleasure and privilege to starting this podcast. And this is a place where we'll be inviting friends to come along and share their experience with life. This is our first one, and we are so happy to have a team working with us and some guys on behind of the scenes. Later on, we invite them to come up to show themselves, and you wanted to introduce them to you. So tonight we have a very good friend of ours, Beto Verlí, who will be sharing his experience of life and what God's been laying his heart to share with you. And also we're gonna have, I'm sure we're gonna have a good conversation. Your participation is quite important. I think your comments, questions anytime if you wanted to ask questions, it would be good to help us because we want to get you involved in this conversation. We wanted to have you connecting and participating in the way God will be speaking to us through Beto Verlí's life. So we have some people connect already with us, and I wanted to welcome you. We have here Simone Rocha. What a beautiful song. And also she's saying, hello, God bless you. Welcome, Simone. We have here Nairson Lopes. Good evening, brothers. Hey, Murilo. Murilo is a part of the team. But Murilo is connected with us as well. Yeah, we have Milena. Good evening. Good evening, Milena. Thank you for getting connected with us. So yes, I wanted to encourage you, just before we started, I wanted to encourage you to sign up our YouTube channel, Coffee with Friends, and for you to be, I think it's quite important for you to be connected with us, and then every time we have a new podcast, you'll be informed, you'll receive the information. I'll just giving a little bit more time for people to get connected with us. If you don't know me, my name is Ramon. I'm a Brazilian. I am Italian. I am British. Living in England for the last 16 years. And I came to Brazil to visit my family in last December. But because of the restriction to fly back to UK, I still here with my wife, and we don't know why, but God has His purpose. One of the purpose, I'm sure, is to start this coffee with friends and giving people opportunity to get connected with us in English. Also, I think this podcast will give you opportunity to train your English, improve your English, which is quite important. Okay, so let me bring Davi and Vinicius. Come up, guys. So,
Hello.
Davi, Davi. Davi is our technical guy who's been working behind of the scenes. I want to introduce him to you. Okay, Davi? Unmute your phone, unmute your mic. Yes.
Great. Yeah. Hi guys. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I hope this night is very blessing for everyone.
Vinicius.
Good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure. Also, I hope God's going to bring a lot of good things for us in this podcasts in English. God bless everyone and let us have a blessed night, guided by the Spirit.
Very good. Thank you very much, Davi and Vinicius, for your work, and God bless you. I want you to keep encouraging you to tell me where you're from, and it'll be good to know. And if you wanted to share this podcast with your friends in your Instagram page or YouTube, be free to do that. We want you to invite as many people as possible to get in connect with us. So, Murilo, yes, Murilo, you are part of this team. I want to also to thank you for everything you've been doing, and I'm very pleased and happy to have you here. So we have someone special here, Jean Santos. Jean Santos is one of the mentors of the podcast Fundamentos, and Jean has been working with Alemão, and they've been giving us also support. I want to thank you, Jean, for everything you've been doing. Okay, let me bring in my guest, Beto Verlí. Come up, Beto.
Hello. Hello, Ramon.
Hello.
Good to be here. Good to be
evening.
with you
Good
guys.
evening.
Good to be with you guys.
It's a pleasure to have you here,
to have this close conversation and talk about God, talk about life, talk about music. Well, it's going to be very, very good. It's a pleasure.
We have lots of things to talk about, Beto. It's good to have you here, Beto. This is a space for us to be relaxed, just enjoying ourselves, enjoy what God's been doing in our lives, and
Amen.
also share in a very free way. I want to give you a freedom to share from your heart. Okay? So, first of all, Beto, could you just introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. My name is Beto, for whoever doesn't know me. I'm for sure Brazilian. I was born here in São Paulo, where I live currently for maybe the past 8 years or so. But I've been around the world. I lived 12 years in US, in Massachusetts, to be more specific. 2 years in Peru, Lima, Peru. And before that, from like 2 to like 18 in Bahia, northeast state in Brazil. And going from here and there, I mean, from city to city. In US, I lived in a couple different cities. In Lima, although it was only like 2 years, but 4 different places. So it's a crazy thing. But I've been settled for the last 8 years and living here with my family, my wife. We have 2 kids, Sarah and Steven. My wife is Nina, or Nina is the nickname, but her name is Louisiana. My name is Roberto, by the way, but people call me Beto or Beto, or, well, it depends. If it's in England, people call me Beto. If it's in US, it's Beto. But yeah, for the past 8 years here in São Paulo and serving the Lord here with the brothers and sisters here in the city, serving the local church with my family, I am one of the leaders here for the home groups that we have in the church. I'm also a Christian singer. I have some recordings that are available. I mean, throughout the digital platforms and YouTube and so on. So that's what I do as well. I by the grace of God, I compose songs with the goal to serve and to edify the church and to give the church ways to express themselves to the Lord and to one another. But also, I mean, besides all that, I also work. I have a side job and I work with technology, and I'm also involved with all that is internet and technology, making applications for a bunch of different services. And so my kind of co-related with music and technology and the church. So it's a little bit here and there. Um, and I've been, I was baptized and when I was 12. So it's 30 years ago,
Wow.
almost 30 years
Wow.
ago. That was, I mean, I was born on a Christian home. My dad, my mom, when I was born, they were Christians already. And most of my life, I mean, from the early youth, adolescent age, I've been involved with the home group, the home church, with this movement of bringing the church to this more uh, a simple way of life, making disciples and preaching the gospel on the streets and wherever we are, and outside of the temples, outside of this church system that we see today. So I kind of my experience with life, although my father comes from a very big evangelical group, but he gave up everything for to make disciples, the whole system and everything. And that's where I was born and I was raised in this kind of environment. So it's kind of different from someone who has come out of this system. I was kind of raised into this. So and I was married into this as well, with this understanding, this revelation. I've been raising my kids with this revelation as well. So I was kind of the first, maybe the first generation of children or sons and daughters that were born after the first generation that came with this revelation and so on. So it's kind of what can I say? It's worth sharing from son and kid perspective, but also youth perspective, and then now a married man, a husband, and now a leader, and also involved with all the songs and music and everything within this environment. So it's yeah, it's interesting.
Very good, Beto. Thank you. There is someone special here, Beto. I wanted to meet him. You know this guy?
Hey, yeah, my beloved brother, Douglas. Hello, Douglas.
Yeah, Douglas. Hello there. Love you guys. We love you, Douglas. Missing you is a great guy. I had the opportunity to be with him for many times. He's a lovely guy. Yeah, lovely, Beto. I just wanted to clarify, maybe just for myself. I
Yeah,
thought you were born in Bahia. You born in São Paulo? Were you born
yeah.
in São
I
Paulo?
was yeah.
Come on.
I was actually born in São Paulo. Yeah, the São Paulo city. But my dad, he was a pastor. He in right after I was born, he was sent to the northeast side of Brazil,
Oh,
and
I see.
that's where later on my kids, my siblings were born there. And it was just after that that we moved to US. But yes, I have. It's funny because I went to US and then Peru. I mean Bahia, US, then Peru, and then I'm back to São Paulo after. I mean a lot of years. I don't even
Hmm.
know how many years.
But Beto, you grew up in Bahia, yeah?
Yeah, I grew up there from 1 to 2 up to 18 when I was 18. Then I moved to US when I was 19 and went to Peru when I was like 31 years old. Yeah.
Mm.
I
Beto,
have a
how you
a
met?
mixed
Yeah.
accent. São Paulo, Bahia, Minas from my mom, and then
Yeah.
yeah, all over the place.
You mean when you speak Portuguese, yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Beto, how you met your wife?
It's an interesting story. My wife, I saw her for the first time. She was actually 15 years old. I was 16.
Really?
I was going through a very uh, difficult, delicate situation in my life. Maybe the hardest time of my life was between 15 and 17, and right in the middle of this kind of period, I've met her very briefly uh, a birthday party from one of the guys in the church, and she was invited by her niece. I don't know. I don't remember exactly who she was, but she was invited, and she wasn't a Christian still. She wasn't a disciple of Jesus, and she went there. She was already listening to the gospel, and through the process of accepting Jesus and laying down her life to the will of God. And I've met her, and I was that was the first time that I saw her, and it was like kind of a uh, I cannot say that was a love at first sight, but it was like, I mean, she was very beautiful. But I was then I saw her again almost 2 years later. I mean, 1 year and a half, and she was already converted. Converted, and I don't know. My dad was working. I mean, the church in Salvador, in Bahia, the church had a like an office where the deacons would meet and have, I mean, a normal like business office, but for the church. And she was working as a secretary there on that time. And since my dad was working there, and I was going to college. And from college, I mean, every day I would go there to the office and meet my dad, and then we would go together to our house. And it was there that it was there then that I saw her again at the office, and we started to talk every day and developed right there a very close relationship and friendship. And we start, and at that moment when we got closer together, I was under a very harsh discipline in the church. As I mentioned before, it was a very difficult time for me, and I was going through a very, I mean, very hard discipline. But since I was going there to meet my dad, and I would wait my dad for like 30 minutes to 1 hour, I would sit on the office right beside Louisiana Nia, and we would start talking about Jesus and the Lord. And I was kind of, for me, it was kind of amazed how such a young lady could talk about Jesus 100% of the time. And it was one specific moment when she said, I do not want to get married. my will. I mean, I have a desire to live for God and to preach the gospel somewhere. I don't know, Africa. I don't know. I want to be a missionary, and I don't have a desire to get married. When she said that, in my heart, I said, she's going to be my wife.
This is the right person for me.
She's going to be my wife because I saw her heart,
Yeah.
her passion for God. And I was like, and then at that moment, I said to her, hey, Nia, you know that it's not good for you to think about, I mean, to think that you're not gonna be married because I mean you are a woman and you need to get, I mean, be ready for anything that God prepares for you. And if God has a husband for you, you would need to lay down your life to him and you together need to live for God. And after that, she then told me, she confessed that when I said that, it was kind of she changed her mind. She understood that she could not just say, I'm gonna do this for God. No, I need to ask him what he
Oh,
wants
lovely.
from. And well, I mean, from that time we started to develop our friendship. It was funny because I had a companion. When I say companion, for the people, I mean, who are listening and watching, we at the church we have this kind of relationship that we call companionship, where we work together with someone, like in my case, yeah, someone from the same gender. So me and one of my friends, we were like companions to preach the gospel, to pray together and everything. And this, I mean, my companion, he invited me to a party. And he said, hey, Beto, I'm going there because I have my eyes on a sister and I'm watching her. I mean, I want to get married. And when she said her name, it was Nina. It was
Really?
yeah, and we went
Oh, come
together
on.
because up until this time I wasn't kind of in love with Nina. I mean, I had a very, I mean, admiration for her, but I wasn't kind of passionate about it. But my companion, he was, and he invited me to go with him and to this party so he could get closer to her. But
Wow.
the funny thing is
Wow.
that for, I mean, the party, it was, I mean, the party went for like 3 hours, and most of the time Nina just, I mean, spent the whole time talking to me. And at the end my companion said, hey, you know what, Beto, she doesn't care about me. I think she likes you, so I'll leave it to you. And from that time and on, we got very close. I mean, me and Nia, we started talking to each other, calling. I mean, there was no like internet like today, or
Wow.
even SMS. It was everything by phone. She lived not very far from me, but it was, I mean, it would take me an hour to get to her house. But our friendship, it was developed by telephone and through that time in the office, the church's office. Um, and everything we talked about was
Very
Jesus
good.
and the purpose of God. And we would pray together and share our struggles. And it was during that time that I got, I mean, really, really in love with her and decided that she would be the love of my life. And after
Lovely.
like 8 months, I kind of opened up with her and I said that I wanted to get, listen, I'll try in English because I never said that in English. But I remember
Mm.
that when I opened up to her, I said, hey, Nina, I mean, I know that someday you're gonna carry in your hands a ring, like a ring, and I want my name on that ring, and I want your name on the ring that I'm gonna be carrying. And she was like, she didn't say anything. I was even, I mean, thinking that she would say no. But then I took her to bring her back to her house. And she was, I mean, in the car, she was saying, I can't believe I'm going to be married so young. Oh, then I said, oh, that means that is yes. So
Praise the Lord.
it was beautiful. It was very how can I say pure, because from that moment until the marriage, we took us 4 years, but that's another story, because during that time I needed to move to US, and she went to US a year later after I moved. And then we had some struggles with work and preparations for the marriage. So it took us 4 years, but that's another story. Or
Yeah.
else it's going to be too long.
Very good. I hope to have her here sometime to tell us her side of the story. Yeah.
I'm working on
Beto,
that.
yeah, working hard. It will be a pleasure to have her here. So, Beto, I have a question for you here, coming from Laura. You see, how did you first went to US? What was your purpose? Because you mentioned you lived in US for I can't remember how long.
12 years.
12 years, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah, my dad back in 19 I mean I would say 1995, my dad started visiting US. Just to give the right perspective. My dad was one of the pastors at the church in Bahia, and he was invited to preach the gospel of the kingdom in US to a group of people in a church that was like wanting to know more about what our practice and what our revelation. And so I think in 1995 he started going there. He had a 3 or 4 uh, uh, 3 or 4 times he went to US to be with these brethren. And during that time, he then was invited to move to US and help the church there. I at first I was it was not my, it wasn't my plan to move to US. So my family went first, and I stayed in Bahia, especially because I was already engaged to Nina, and I had work and preparations to get married here in Brazil. But then my family, I mean, talking to my dad and my mom, they were going through some very difficult times with my brothers, because they are struggling on high school. And then I said to the brothers in Brazil, hey, I'm gonna go to US for 3 months to help my brothers there and be closer to them and be a help to my dad and my mom with them. So I went to US in 1999 for 3 months, but then during those 3 months, I understood that it was the will of God for me to be there, to live in US. So that was, I mean, my personal purpose to go to US was to be closer to my family, help my brothers that were struggling with their faith. But then later on, because I mean the church had a lot of youth, and I stayed to help the pastors there and the church there to take care of the youth. And then I became a leader as well, one of the home group leaders in the church in US. But that's was the kind of
Purpose.
the purpose of why I went to US.
Okay, very good, Beto. Thank you very much for sharing the story of your life. It's very encouraging. I feel like, yeah, how God works in people's life in a very different ways, and then at the end, for His name to be glorified. So, Beto, share with us what God lay in your heart for you to share with us
Yeah,
specifically tonight, please.
I bet there is a lot of youth watching this podcast, and they're gonna be watching or listening to it afterwards as well. And there was this passage on Ephesians that it came to my mind when you invited me to be here today, and I want to very quickly just read. At first, it seems that the passage is meant for um, married couples or for a husband, but it's well it serves as well for the single guys in the church especially, and I want to share this with them, and also this is good for the girls as well. It's Ephesians 5:25. It's a very known verse. It says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word. So Paul is telling him or giving the husbands a command that they should love their wives as Christ loved the church. But then there is a tricky part here, and that's the thing that I want to share with especially the youth and the singles. Christ didn't marry the church yet. So yes, the singles, and that's the men, they can start loving their wives right now. So let's say, I mean, if someone who are listening, you are like 15 and older, it's very, very, how can I say, not very, but it's um, your future wife probably was already born. She is a disciple of Jesus or not. She is still in the world and does not know Jesus. But if you're 15 and older, uh, it's very likely that your wife is already born, your future wife, and she is close to you or not. It doesn't matter. But she already exists. She's already living somewhere. So how can you love your wife being a single when you didn't get married the same way Jesus did with the church? Jesus is, I mean, the church is the bride. She's not the wife still. She's gonna be the wife. But Jesus laid down his life to his future wife. So the way that they are listening right now here and are single, how can you love your wife? First, you need to sanctify yourself. You need to prepare yourself. When you are doing this, you are loving your future wife because she's gonna take advantage of that in the future. She will meet a husband who is pure, who loves God, who is prepared for anything. And remember, she's gonna need to lay down her life to you. So when you uh, sanctify or work your sanctification every day, and you seek God to know God, you are loving your wife in the future. And by doing that, you are not just sanctifying yourself, but you are also sanctifying your future wife, because she's going to meet someone who is 100% uh, with his heart towards God. And that's when you start loving your wife. You do not start loving your wife when you meet her, but right now. I remember some years ago when I was sharing this kind of glimpse with some of the disciples. I mean, singles, and I even wrote a song saying that I pray for that person that I don't know yet, And I pray that God protects her. I pray that God brings her to me, but how? Preparing myself to that. I don't want her to get lost or to get hurt because of my lack of preparation. Because if God wants you to get married, you will get married. But if your marriage is going to be a blessing, but like 5 or 10 years after you get married, you're going to make your wife to suffer because of the lack of Christ in your life. So when you seek sanctification now, when you sanctify your life, you put your purpose not in get married, but the purpose in be like Jesus. You are preparing yourself to your wife as well, and she's gonna be sanctified by that because you are laying right now your life to God. So this verse, although it says, "Husbands, love your wife," how can you love your wife if you're not married? Do it right now because you're gonna be doing as Jesus did with the church, and is still doing it. Jesus is preparing his bride for the big marriage that's gonna come up, the big party that's gonna come up very soon. And that's where we mirror ourselves. And that's when I had the blessing to understand this before I get married. I got married. Although, I mean, everyone's gonna face problems in a marriage. I did, everyone did. For sure, you, Ramon, you did as well. But it's very different when you know your God and you lay down your life to Him. It's much easier to learn and much easier to be conformed to the image of God. And that's what I wanted to just share with the youth here today who are listening to it.
Great. What you say, Beto, is something like becoming more and more like Jesus. I am preparing myself, yeah,
Yeah.
for to be a husband according to this text you just shared with us. And I'm sure the guys who are connected with us will be working on that way. I have something here. Just let me try.
I think I'm on just get out of the connection, guys.
Disconnected?
Yeah, I think, yeah, he's coming.
He's coming back.
Well, yeah,
I don't I don't know. Thank you, Davi. I don't know what happened here.
I'll be back.
Sorry, guys. Happens. Um, I think this comment here will encourage you, Beto. Beto, I'm very grateful for your father. He could help me with a difficult situation when he one of our pastors here in Salvador. It just to encourage you, okay? Okay, Beto,
Amen.
yeah, it's a good word. Or I'm trying to say is allowing the Holy Spirit to work in my life, my personal life, making me more like Jesus. Will prepare myself to be this husband you share, which Paul mentioned in Ephesians chapter 5. Great. Um, Beto, you mentioned also about getting involved in music, worship. Maybe it would be good to just share a little bit with us. Um, there's lots of confusion. I know, like you said, there's many youth people connect with us, and the music, is a quite is something important in terms of helping us to worship God. I'm not saying music itself is the worship, but I'm saying is some kind of channel, yeah, to helping us through the music to worship God or express. I'm sure the songs God gave it to you. Express your gratitude, your heart for Him, and I'm sure you want to bless the church, bless the body of Christ through these songs. Instead of the guys being listening, some kind of songs will not be blessing them. So I'm sure this kind of songs will bless because there is some content in each song which will be speaking to people's hearts. So I would like you briefly just to share a little bit about your personal experience on getting you involved on that, please.
Yeah, sure. I think I can summarize this in three. Of course, I could develop this into like 2, 3, 4 hours conversation, but I'll try to be very short on
Yes,
that with kind of three phrases and work around those three
yes,
phrases. One, it's music. What is music? And I say, when people ask me, hey, Beto, what is music for you? Usually I say, hey, music, being very simple and direct, music, it's a way that God gave us to express ourselves. So music, it's a way, it's an expression, a way to express our soul, our feelings, to express thoughts. And music is powerful because you can say the same phrase, just say it, the same phrase, and it has a different meaning when you sing that same phrase. Because song, it's kind of it has some different levels, um, um, and different dimensions. So when you say, let's say, for example, oh Lord, you're beautiful. It's different when you say, the Lord is beautiful. When you say that, you are stating something, but when you sing, you put your mind into it. So you express more than words, although you are like singing a word, but it's much more. So, with that said, saying that music is an expression, then comes the second phrase that I usually say and share is that behind every song, there is a singer or a musician or a composer. And behind a composer or a singer or a musician, there is a belief. A belief. Uh, so he believes in something. And that belief is going to be expressed through his creation or his expression. So we need to be very careful to what we listen, because although you might agree with the things that he is saying or singing, I mean, the phrase or the words he's singing, there is a belief behind everything. And that I'm not saying just for Christian songs or labeled Christian songs. I'm saying for any kind of music, any kind of song. There is a belief in every human being, and he puts that belief into everything that he creates. And music, it's very powerful, but very also dangerous, because music, let's say, today, for me to go to US, I need a passport and I need a visa that allows me to enter US. That's because I'm Brazilian. But if I were like a British, I would not need a visa to get into US. The same thing is kind of with music. Phrases and words that are shared with us, they need a visa that's called conscience. But music, it does not need the conscience to get into our minds. And that's the dangerous part when we start listening to whatever song we want to, because the conscience doesn't work with songs. Songs naturally are allowed to get into our mind and to deposit information, even information that our conscience does not agree with. So that's why we need to be careful with that, to what we listen. Because, I mean, it's songs and music, it's like a Trojan horse they get into our minds without noticing. And when we wake up, we are agreeing with what we are singing. But although our conscience says that's not right, but we start singing those things. That's why we need to be very careful. Um, so, I mean, the first two things, what is music and the power of music into our minds, that's two things. I right there, I summarize like 2 hours of things.
Of
Uh,
course, of course.
but
Yeah,
that's for song and music in general.
yeah.
But speaking of Christian songs, especially those who like to serve the church, uh, playing an instrument or singing or whatever, there is another word or another phrase that I keep in my heart as a safe haven, so I do not sing against God. And that phrase, it's something like this: I cannot. How can I say? I forgot the name. Hold on one second. Let me read this again so I don't say. Okay, I cannot steal the bride's heart from the bridegroom. And of course, when I say the bride, is the church's heart. So I am a servant of the Lord. I cannot use the song or the talent that God gave me to steal His bride's heart. I cannot um, play or sing with the purpose to bring her attention to me. I need to disappear. When I sing, when I play, when I help the church or serve the Lord with music, I need to disappear. God needs to be glorified by the church. And that's very difficult. It seems to be easy, but it's not. Because if you sing nice, if you sing beautifully, if you play very good as a very talented professional player, it's very likely that people that are there, they are not looking to God. They're gonna be looking to you and gonna be admiring you. And if really, of course, you cannot control someone's heart. But when speaking of the church, you need to disappear. You need to take a low stand and let Jesus appear. Let Jesus be glorified. Let the church glorify the Jesus and be passionate about Him, not about you. Um, and that's even when I was composing the songs for my last album, which is called Less of Me. In Portuguese it's Menos de mim, but in English it's Less of Me. I was thinking exactly that. It's less of me and more of Him, more of you, Jesus, and less of myself, less of the battle. And the songs that I've wrote was basically my path through life, of the process of God in my life to build the image of God, image of Jesus in me, and I need to disappear. Beto as a man, my talent. The spotlight must be on Jesus, not on me. I'm just an instrument. The player and the composer, it's him. He is the one. I'm not the one. And because musicians, they deal with talent, they deal with spotlight, they deal with um, social media, they deal with albums and all that stuff. It's very, very tempting for you to choose the path, especially because when you see as I was mentioning before, there is a label today called gospel music or Christian music, and you see a lot of good people and very blessed brothers and sisters involved in this kind of arena of music and worship, but it's a bunch I'm sorry to say that, but it's a bunch of stealers, a bunch of robbers, because they are stealing the bride's heart towards themselves with dancing, with singing. And although they are labeled Christian singers, they are doing unservice to God's people. And that's what um, I put in my heart for everything that I do, that is related to singing and to music. It's that I cannot steal the bride's heart to me. I cannot do that. And that's why I need to disappear. That's why I need to lay
Amen.
low. And that drives my practice, even in the church. For example, just to finish here, in the church I usually play. I sit down and I play. I don't want
Yeah.
to even appear on top or right in front of the church, because I don't want people looking at me. I want people looking at Jesus, not me. But I mean, to summarize, those are the three things that of course, as I mentioned, I could develop on that, but I
Very
think
good.
it's good enough.
Very good. I think Elena Vaz got what you're trying to say. Yeah? This is less on me, think. What a great challenge on music environment.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you. So, like you said, Beth, we could carry on talking for hours here, but the purpose of the Coffee with Your Friends is about 41 hour maximum. We are
Yeah.
coming to the end, unfortunately. But just before you give us definition, why am I gonna share some notices with the people who are connected with us? Think about what the best definition about worship. So I'll give you some time for you just to think, and then I'll be back to you. This is the question for you, okay? Best definition. If you can say, well, worship is this, okay? So, but before you say that, I want just to encourage you guys who are connect with us. Like I said at the beginning, maybe you miss it. Please sign up our channel. Please help us to split the news that every Wednesday from 7 to 8 maximum, there will be a coffee with friends. I think it's an amazing opportunity for you to share with your friends, even non-Christian friends. Everybody's invited. And I think also would be good for Brazilian people who want to improve their English or practice weekly their English. Coming here, join us and make comments, asking questions. I think it would be good to have you here, guys. Okay? So, uh, finally, Beto, what is your worship?
I was thinking again, summarize this, but I would say that worship, it's a lifestyle. It's how you choose to live your life. It goes beyond music, it goes beyond songs. Worship, it's your lifestyle. If you can worship God with songs, but you can worship much more. You can worship with your life. And thinking about
Yeah.
that, when you are singing, you are and you are worshiping God, you express yourself by raising your hands. But when you are doing your other stuff, how you worship God, that's gonna define if your life is a worship to God or not.
Very good. Amazing, Beto. Thank you very much for sharing your heart with us. I would love to have you here back again, but next time maybe with your wife, because I would love to hear from her side of the experience when she met you, and also I know she's been having amazing experience. For example, Murilo, we're not gonna have time to this, but you see, maybe opportunity when you should be here. Tell them about the song you made secret. So I'm curious about this Murilo's comments, but it's not for now, okay? So yeah, Beto, thank you very much for being with us. Davi, I think we have a guest for next Wednesday. If you could just bring the banner, or just, you got that? Guys, this is the first one. We're still working. No, Davi? So, maybe you don't know the guy, but we're going to have Douglas Faioli next Wednesday with us. Douglas is a guy who has amazing experience with Jesus. He's from Timothy and moved to England, and as a non-Christian guy. And in England, we had the opportunity to meet him, share the gospel with him, and he became a Jesus disciple. He got amazing story to share with us. So he'll be here with us next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Please spread the news, share with the people, invite them to come and join us. Thank you very much for being with us. Again, Beto, thank you very much. God bless you, brother. Bye,
Thank you, guys.
guys.